everyone. This is Jess with Whispers of Grace Healing. I'm here today to do hashtag Tarot and Chill live mini reads. We are going to be doing $20 VIP, $40 2021 sneak preview, and we will also be going over picking our winner for the free 30-minute sesh for our Graceful Healing members. If you are interested in joining the Graceful Healing members, you can click the join button next to the subscribe button on my homepage, and it will give you all the details of what comes with the membership and all the good stuff, how to go about that. And yeah, if y'all have any questions, let me know. I'm glad to be here with y'all today. I'm going to give it a few minutes for people to get on before I go through my whole spiel. Make sure I share this over to my Facebook page. Kevin might be joining us later. It's been a long day, y'all. We had every intention of coming on live together, but you know, when you're up at 5:30 in the morning and it gets away from you. So let me get this over on Facebook real quick. Hi, Brooke. Hi, Danny. Love you. I was actually about to shout you out because, listen, guys, for anyone who does not know Brooke with Empress of Duality, man, let me tell you, I go back to when I first met you, Brooke, and I think of how much all of us have transformed in such a short amount of time. I knew when Danny sent me that first video saying, hey, I saw this girl, you need to check her out. She's lit as fuck. Mind blown, dude. Some of the messages that you come out with, like, are literally conversations that I'm having. Like, how do these are topics that I want to discuss? How do I put them and form them into a conversation that can really be received? And then you come out with a video that's like right there. So thank you. Y'all go check out her latest video about the labels of twin flames and soulmates. Let's talk about truth bombs. It is so true. So true. Hey, Maria. But yeah, guys, the expectations and the labels in general have really come to my awareness in the sense of how much we have limited ourselves when it comes to love. And I think that this is a great opportunity moving into the new year of releasing the expectations due to our own pride, our ego, and our own pain, and just allowing the love to happen. Let the love happen. Because listen, and he's going to jump in on this conversation with me because, we actually had an experience that showed me just how much perception can derail things if you don't catch it. And that's why open, honest conversation is so important, because like, it was one of those, I expect you to know what I need and I want, and I plant all the seeds, but you're just not catching it type thing. And we do this all the time. It's a natural human thing that we do. But even though our love languages are similar in certain circumstances, like, I will try to make sure certain things are done or try to take some pressure off of him. And yet he was looking for this one, this one thing. And it actually ended up leading to a moment of where we were both like, why does it feel distant, right? And it was only like one day, but we could both tell that there was something that just wasn't flowing as naturally. And what you looking for?
Just moving.
Moving stuff. So what happened was, once we realized that there is this what we felt as a little bit of disconnection between us, we just came together, we had an open, honest conversation about it. And it was, and I even laughed about it. I laughed about it because the perception in my eyes, I was like, I'm trying to take care of you in this and this and this way, but you're really needing this. And if he would have just said, like, hey, babe, I need this from you tonight, like, I would have done it, no problem. If a man needs a massage, I'll rub his back. You know what I'm saying? So, but it was one of those things where it was just as simple as a conversation and saying, this is what I want or I need in order to feel good right now. And it probably would have saved us a hassle throughout the day. But either way, thankfully, we have that open, honest communication, and we were able to work ourselves through it and just be like, okay, so what do we need to do? We just need to say, this is what we need, right? And quit the bullshit, because the expectations and the perceptions of how to navigate through those situations, and then we get that that storyline of our needs aren't being met, right? So then you start overlooking what is really going on. And normally, like, he notices everything that I do for him, and I notice everything he does for me. We're very aware of that. But yeah, it was one of those moments where we had to catch ourselves and be like, no, we're not continuing this,
Well, it's
you want to touch in on this?
Well, no, it's simple. It's well, first, hello everybody. It's simple. We're obviously human. So on that particular moment, it was something that was spoken that it was going to happen because of what had happened the day before, and it was going to almost have to happen to continue on. I pulled my back out the night before we were leaving to go do I was going to go do a build for her parents.
Mm-hmm.
And you sometimes just got to push through whether you feel it or not. But that was something that was offered that was going to happen. And
I even had it set up. Like,
her intentions were to do it.
Yeah.
But somehow it didn't happen. And then at that point, I made my conscious decision to not speak on it, because if it didn't happen, there must be a reason. And I want stuff to be mutual, not always asked for or re-mentioned, So it sometimes when those moments happen, it does create distance or disconnect or, that awkwardness.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, when you're going full speed in life, I think a lot of people, when they're full speed in life, and then they will come at the other person with maybe some type of, I don't want to say aggression, but like a what the fuck moment.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, you've been doing all this shit to put other people before you, and the one thing you were looking for relief or whatever it might be didn't happen. So it wasn't nothing to hold over anybody. It's where you yourself have to come with, have some compassion and understanding, maybe they're going through something or something happened, and you just didn't have time to touch base on it. But it still creates that distance, regardless.
Because I've noticed both of us get quiet.
Right.
Like, it's not as touchy-feely or leaning in. It's more of just like being neutral. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily pulling away from each other either. And there wasn't I can understand where you say aggression, because a lot of people do end up going into aggression when they feel like it's not being met.
They get defensive or offended that, or they feel forgotten about, or
right.
less important to the other person.
Yeah.
And that's more than likely what's not going on. It's just people get caught up in their own shit. And I mean, what are you going to do?
Right.
You can make the matter worse, or you can...
Yes. The unconscious blame game. And, and that's the thing too, because, we've been talking a lot about like, how can we best help people? And sometimes I'll be dealing with certain clients and like kind of asking for his perspective. Well, if you were in this situation, or if you were, trying to help someone through this certain circumstance, what would you say? And he's got a lot of questions, which, I do too. But, one of the things that he mentioned the other day is like detail. How can you really give a good, honest answer if you're not looking at the details of what is causing the disruption in the first place? Now, that day had every intention of, because his friend was coming the next night to help us out. So small window of, privacy, but we also got up super early that morning and then decided, we were going to take a little bit of time, to get ourselves together to go up there. It's a 2.5 hour drive. Then we go unload everything. We get settled. We're, doing the whole navigating, starting the build. And I don't even know what happened that night that I had the coconut oil, the essential oil, had every intention of making sure my man was feeling good for this build. And then especially after his friend showed up, like, it was just, the whole weekend just seemed chaotic. So like, my thing was making sure that breakfast was cooked. And then even he tried to turn me off that at the end, like, well, if you're not going to eat, like, but it was making sure my man was fed, that he had a place to rest his head, that he was feeling good, and, didn't have to worry about anything else but the build. And, I dropped the ball on the massage. So in his mind, he's waiting every single day, like, oh, is today going to be the day? And it didn't come. So then by the time that we have the conversation about it, it was like, well, and he has this thing of, once I come to the realization that that's what he was looking for, then he feels bad of even suggesting or letting it happen, because then he feels like it's not genuine, right?
Yeah, well, it's okay. Like, if you bring something up, and then all of a sudden someone's like, oh yeah, I'll do it tonight, and it's kind of like, you're like, well, part of you doesn't want it because you weren't looking to do that anyways. Try tomorrow, without having the conversation. It's kind of weird, but at the same time, it's one of those things, like, when you're a giver and not so much as a taker, like, you're not a receiver of things. It's like, you want things to be on a mutual playing field.
And most of the time it is.
Yeah, it is. Like 90 something percent of the time, right? It's on point, but you got to chalk it up to.
I told him that, bro.
It's life, it's human, it's whatever, man. There's no sense in getting your feelings hurt. I mean,
well, and it's, it goes to the 4 agreements. Don't take it personal,
no.
because he knows in a heartbeat that, like, I will.
Basically, it comes down to this. It comes down to this.
Physical touch is very important for both of us.
You got, you have to speak.
Mm-hmm.
You have to speak what you feel to people.
Yeah.
You can't expect people to read minds.
Yeah.
And no matter how bad the news is, you have to tell that person,
Mm-hmm.
and they're owed to know what's going on with you, because how can they make a conscious decision, maybe what's best for them, if they don't know what's going on with you? So if you're in a relationship and you're not feeling it, and you kind of feel the other person isn't feeling it, and you never say anything, but you go on for 5 years with this, well, this is life, and I guess this is what it's about, and you get, what is that? You basically just...
Is it complacent?
You become complacent, yes, and you get comfortable in that shell with that person.
Right.
And
but then there's still a part of you that's being unfulfilled, and you think that that's just a part of normalcy.
But you're part of the unfulfillment, because you're not letting out that information to the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So when your wavelength with someone is not in tune, it's like a guitar. If it's not in tune, it's not going to sound right.
Right.
It's not, and it might sound in tune to you, but to someone else, it doesn't sound in tune. And that's another part of it. Yeah.
Well,
everybody's going to hear it differently.
Exactly. And I keep hearing like the song of the heart, the song of love, right? Not everyone sings in the same key or the same tune. And I think that's where we have to have discernment, because I'll tell you, one of the big things that I learned was, certain behaviors that I used to have and accept, thinking that I knew what love and reciprocation was, because I was always the giver. I was always the one to make sure, like, my relationship stayed afloat, and that, putting in all the effort. But having someone that shows up for me the way that you do, like, there's no comparison, guys. And I don't know if you truly know until you experience it. And I will say that there have been a few times, like, okay, and it's so wild every time I say it, 3 months, but it feels like a lifetime with this man. And it naturally evolved on both of our parts. There was no conversation like, hey, you want to be my girlfriend? You want to be my boyfriend? Like, just naturally happened.
Well, I can't even... I can't remember the last time I ever even... Maybe like middle school.
Right.
Like, had that kind of conversation.
But there's a lot of people that are like having beautiful romantic moments with people, but they're still not sure where they stand. Right.
No,
and that's the conversation
that
we were having the other day. Like, have the conversation.
Look, you can sit there and you can chase people all you want, but to me, it's I don't know, something like anything else. You just have to put it out into the air. You got to speak it.
Yeah.
And you have to communicate. If you're not communicating with someone and telling them how you feel, irregardless of how they feel, because you're never going to know how they feel until they tell you, or until you say something and find out how they react. And you can tell a bunch of ways. I mean, they might be really good at holding their tongue and not saying, things that's going to get them caught up in a relationship, because they might feel bad. But look at the body language. Body language will tell you a lot. There's just so many ways. And, if you feel like someone's distant, but they don't feel like they're being distant. How are they going to know that you feel that they're being distant if you never say it to them?
Right.
You know, so it's just speaking it. You have to communicate, you know, and I when I say have to, obviously do whatever you want to do.
Right.
But
we would suggest having the conversation. Now, and I will say too, like, there's a lot of people that I'm noticing, especially, okay, you know, Brooke's conversation with the soulmate twin flame. I'm seeing a lot of people within the twin flame community that are, it almost seems as if we are making excuses and to hold on to something that is not showing up for us. And then we feel like when something else shows up that is beautiful and expansive and has all these possibilities to be beneficial for our life, then we're like, we feel like we're cheating on our twin flame. And it's mind-boggling, because I think a lot of it really stems from, you know, a lot of us have major blockages around the heart space. We want love, but we have no idea how to trust love. So we're very guarded against it, but yet we keep calling it in. And then we want to question it when it walks through the door. And instead of just allowing things to be what they are, being present, enjoying the love that is shared between two people, or, you know, whatever the case may be, I think it's so important to realize that there is love everywhere. Everywhere.
Well, the whole, you know, we say all the time, make space.
Yes, you have to make space for it.
Say, you know, love looks like letting someone into your front door of your home and saying, su casa, mi casa, like my house, your house. Okay. So create space. You can allow them to walk in to the front door, and the front door is not open. When you walk through that door, it's not open to the rest of the house. It is a space that you make for people to come in as kind of like a testing ground. Okay. And, you know, you will put certain things in that room that is a part of you that allows them to experience as a test to see how well this person reacts and handles these things that I love, okay, and that are important to me. So, you know, it's like with anything, okay, just take a child, put a child in that room, put some toys in that room, and see how that child treats those toys. If they're destructive and they're throwing them across the room, or they're banging them against each other, or just being destructive, then you probably wouldn't trust that child to come through the next door, which is a bigger space of your life where your love is at. You know, your home is again your love. So everything is by trial, and I wouldn't suggest like necessarily always just opening up everything, because that's how people get really hurt and damaged, and then they don't, you know, they get this wall built up, and nobody can ever get over that wall to get to them. So
I always look at it as a funnel.
Yeah.
Like,
I would suggest
you can't be closed but wide open. If you funnel, it gives you enough time and space to see if it's a good fit.
Create a comfortable space that's comfortable for you, that you say, okay, well, I'm going to put these things in there. If they fuck that over or they fuck it up, then there's my answer.
Right.
They're not.
And I think a lot of people are scared of the answer. They're so scared.
Then why the fuck look?
But that's the thing. That's why they're not having the conversations, because they're scared of what the answer is going to be.
Well, to me, all that sounds like is it's like a contradiction.
Yeah.
You're contradicting yourself constantly. If you're searching for love, but you never get to the point, or when you do get to the point, you run from it.
Mm-hmm.
So
They're
It's-
scared
it's
to
very-
fully commit.
it's
It's
very
like a lot
contradictory.
of 1 foot in, 1 foot out,
Man,
having
either
an
shit or
exit
get off the
plan,
pot.
you know,
Shit or get off the
and
pot.
yet I think we build it up in our heads that we're doing all that we can do, and yet there's some really, I mean, in reality, they're small, but have such a big impact when it comes to allowing love into our life. And that's just simply being open to the possibility, right? Well, they can't.
No, I hear you. No, I'm just not used to it. You do your thing.
Is that better?
That's why I got this blanket over
Is that
my
better?
eye vision. Yeah, no, I don't know.
But anyway, so we kind of went on a tangent there. I hope everyone's doing well. But yeah, I feel like any conversation, because again, we've been talking a lot about the throat chakra lately. I feel that when it comes to owning our truth and what we want out of life, it's better to know earlier on in a beginning of a relationship, to know where you stand with someone, because if you're scared of wasting your time, but yet you're scared of having the conversation to know how someone feels about you first, like, look at facts. How are they showing up for you? What are they doing? What are they telling you? Are they okay? Are they benefiting your life? Are they spending quality time with you? Are they showing vulnerability? Are they giving you the opportunity to be vulnerable with them? Right? Like, these are key signs that someone cares about you. Now, whether it is up to your expectations or not, there's no one's going to invest that kind of time into someone that they give no shit about, right? But if you're wondering if your relationship is moving forward, or if this is something that really isn't that serious and it is a concern for you that is driving you crazy, have that conversation. It might not be the answer that you're looking for. Maybe they say, look, I really do care about you. Yes, I really enjoy spending time with you, but my life's crazy right now, and I don't know how much I can truly commit at this point. Well, maybe that's not an answer you want to hear, and it's not an answer that feels good, but at least you know where they stand, and therefore you can make a decision on how to move forward. Now, I will say, some people in every circumstance is different. Some people you might need to be patient with. But on the other hand, if you have someone that is down talking you, gaslighting you, love bombing you, and then turning it around, or mistreating you in any sort of way, and you keep coming up with excuses because you love them, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just, it feels like we set these emotional traps for ourselves, and then we want to blame the other person for not being what we need them to be. And I find that when we have these honest conversations, if you are confused on any level, if you don't know how someone truly feels about you, you have to ask the question. You have to ask the right questions. And don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because if you've already been vulnerable with a person, what's the worst that can happen? They say no. And I was just having this conversation earlier. When it comes to personal relationships, I would much rather understand that we are not a good fit and we go our separate ways so we can live bountiful and, purposeful lives, instead of trying to force something that is not good for either party. Right? So it's fucking selfish. So that's where I'm going to leave that. Yeah. Mauricio says misinterpretation is the mother of all misunderstandings. Brooke says, I get it. We all have all experienced things that have hurt us, abused us, and made us believe to not trust love, but just knowing that things can be different. Hey, Dewey and Ellie, don't start from a place of playing what you think someone else might like. Just be you and everything. And that's a very good point. So I notice a lot of people end up trying to do things or be things that they think their partner wants. And listen, it happens on both sides, okay? Both sides. That mask always comes off. If you were authentically you from the very beginning, there's nothing to worry about later down the road.
There's all right. So now I guess I should.
It will always be exposed.
I should tiptoe on saying this, maybe.
Okay.
But for me, it's kind of just. It's almost a fact, and I think a lot of people can agree. And if you're really honest and open with yourself as a male or a female, it's it's just the way it is. Okay, but when you get into the beginnings of a relationship, you know, women do accept the man for who they are. They like it. It's enjoyable. You'll have fun. You go out on dates. You have probably more sex than you do when it's 5 years down the road. There's all these things that come into play, but there seems to be a shift in this thing where a man is constantly being challenged to change, you know, who they are, you know, a lot of times. And that is hard for a guy. And I don't know where it started in life and how it went about to be something that seems like a normal thing. But if you really look at it, everybody look at your relationship with your partner and tell me that there aren't things that have changed. And I know things will change and there are positives that need to happen. I understand that, you know, positive direction. But some of the simple things that are asked to be changed, but yet you fell in love with that person from Jump Street. So it's something that's always been hard for me to watch, and I've always been stubborn about it. What you see now is what you're going to have all the way through life.
Yeah.
If there's some negative things about me, those things over time have always changed, and there's always a better person coming out the next day. Okay, a better version. But I see it a lot with a lot of my buddies, man, and they understand it. They just don't know how to stop it. And it's like you know, I just had this conversation probably 2 days ago, and I talked to a lot of older people because obviously older people have knowledge, they have experience, they have time. So, oh fuck, man, I'm tired. Basically, the fuck was it, man? I just lost track.
You were talking about like changing and how certain men are being asked to change.
So, think about it like this, and please nobody get offended by this, but this is kind of like a harsh reality of life. Okay, ladies give birth to human beings. A man gives a woman that seed. Okay, and then at the same time, most men are going to die over a woman. Some way, shape, or form, whether they work themselves to death, or they step in front of the train or bus, or they, you know what I mean? It's like a lot of sacrifice going on. When it's a real man with their woman, you know, they will sacrifice their life. I was about
to say, there's a difference.
They will sacrifice their life.
Yes.
So how come, in their house, it's, I see it on a normal thing, like, where they used to say, dad gets the big piece of chicken. You better not touch that piece of chicken. Yeah. Dad's gonna, you know what I mean? Like, in that sense, it's like men go through a lot in their lifetime too. Not saying women don't. Believe me, they do. I don't think I would trade it for anything. But then again, I've never experienced being a woman, so I couldn't tell you. But I do know that we sacrifice a lot as men for our woman and for our children. So there should be a certain level. I'm not saying like a hierarchy in a house, but that kind of structure. Okay. And I think it goes back throughout the course of time. And just like, racism in our country, we talked about that too.
Mm-hmm.
It has gotten better for ethnic people. Ethnic people have come a long way, and it's the same thing with women. They have come a long way from once where they were. And that's kudos to all of you, but at the same time, like even in ethnic, different cultures and racism, whatever it is, there are some pretty strong rules about men and women and how they converse and they live together in habitat or habit. I don't know, man. I'm going.
It's been a long day. Yeah, it's been a long day.
Fucking life. But, basically what I'm saying is like, you'll know when you got a good man, and a man knows when he's got a good woman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and there's a lot of people that can pull the the wool over the eyes,
yes,
or whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people, sheeps and wolves in sheep's clothing, but as you go through them, you get smarter,
mm-hmm.
and you're gonna be able to pick up on that shit quick.
Yeah, and when you have enough respect for yourself, it's easier to let go of those people and not take it so personally, because it has more to do with them than it does with you, right? Because good people don't go around mistreating people that way and manipulating to benefit their life. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like, as far as I was saying about like the man thing, and how we're treated and things like that, at the same time, like when me and Jessica have a difference of opinion, or, we might not have communicated the first 7 hours of the day, and then the last 7 hours we're on top of things communicating. It always comes back to, what can I do for you? Yeah. How can I help you? How can I show up for you? Yeah. And it's on both parts.
Yeah, on both parts.
And that makes it makes that wheel just spin without squeaking and shaking because it's out of balance. It's just smooth. Mm-hmm. It's really smooth. And
it doesn't mean that it doesn't come with its own test. No, I will say 98% of it, maybe even 99%, is pretty damn on point. We're usually so connected with each other. We're always in flow. Everything's great.
Key? The key to when there is a situation, a problem,
the conversation. We're always honest with what we're feeling, what we're going through, how it's making us feel, coming up with a solution together. And
does anybody want to go to bed upset?
No, hell no. I know I don't. But sometimes and that's my thing too, because I'm someone who typically likes to have time to process my emotions before having the conversation, because if I'm triggered, then I don't want to project my pain onto him.
It's
right?
Okay, and it's okay to marinate on things.
Right.
Okay, it is okay to do that, because you might not be the type to be quick with your words right as you have a situation come in front of you, and be able to dissolve it or have a resolution. But there's some people that'll take it weeks, and a month, and it's like you're just living in fucking hell, man.
Yeah,
it's like you work at a sweatshop when you come home. It just sucks.
It does. And when you really have that compatibility and that respect for each other, like I told him, you know, because there was a situation where, you know, we got tested as fuck, and we both had to hold each other accountable in that situation. But the way that I told him is, I know that this behavior is not you. Like, that is not your normal. And I know that you're human, and I know things are going to happen, and we can't alcohol's bitch.
Alcohol.
So
that's all it is.
You know,
that's called alcohol.
It's one of those things where I'm going to love you even through your mess, but understand that this is something that is not good for you. And if it changes your character and changes who you are, because listen, this man is generous and compassionate and loving and strong and just dedicated. Like, but I can't say enough good things about you, but that alcohol, he gets, I call him Kelvin.
It's a super free spirit.
All over the damn place.
It's super free spirit. I will get in anybody's shit.
Yes.
And we'll have fun with it. It might not be fun to the person I'm with because whatever mood they're in, or maybe it's embarrassing.
It's
or whatever,
hard to keep up with.
But yeah, and it's a lot of energy being exerted. But that's why we don't drink that much.
Yeah.
So drink like that,
right?
That much,
right?
You know, you can have a drink or two, but
man, you know, yeah, and stuff happens. But the point and the moral of the story was me, you know, being honest with him of how it felt to be in that situation, and letting him know that, like, I know this isn't your normal, so we're going to get through this together, and I love you and I support you. And, you know, how are we going to get through this? And we did. And once we had that conversation, done, gone. Like, haven't even, it's not even a thing. It's not even a thing.
Well, that's when you start dwelling on shit.
Right.
Because obviously when you forgive someone, if you keep bringing it up.
Exactly.
You didn't really forgive
them.
You know, you just try to save face for the moment.
Right.
And it's always going to come back and haunt you if you don't, you know, mean what you say and stick by your intentions.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hear some good shit tonight.
Yeah. So anyway,
crazy shit.
We just, this is what we do though. We've been talking 42 minutes. How?
It's what you do.
Okay. So we have Gina on the list tonight so far. What we're going to do real quick is we're going to go ahead and pick our winner for the free 30-minute session, Graceful Healers. And then we'll just jump into our collective message and VIPs. I don't know why. I just feel like this is going to be kind of a chill night for everybody. But if you want, I don't know who all is new here, if we have any newbies in, but if you are, we welcome you to the channel. And $20 is a guaranteed reading. We'll pull a couple cards and give you intuitive guidance to whatever question you have. We're also offering a $40 2021 sneak preview. And so we will pull a card for each month of the year and kind of get an overall basis of what the year is going to look like for you. But yeah, and if anyone has any questions or needs to get in touch with us, you can do that through whispersofgrace1016@gmail.com. And we'll go from there. So let's go ahead and do the drawing for our free 30-minute session. If you're interested in joining the Graceful Healing membership, then you can find the join button next to the subscribe button on my homepage. So let's see, who do we have for our winner tonight? Michelle P. Yay, Michelle. I had a feeling you were going to win. So are you in here tonight? I don't know if I saw you earlier or not. No, not yet. Okay. So I will email you tomorrow about that. Okay. All right. So let's get this collective message. We're just going to pull from the Earth Warriors Oracle and see what they have to say about everything we've been talking about. There she is. Yes, right on time. So you just let me know whenever you're ready to set that up, and we will get that going for you. All right, guys. So tonight we have the nourishment of the soul. Let's see, 32. Okay. So, let's see if we can get that. It says, you are granted the gifts of fertility, creativity, and earthly abundance to support all needs for nourishing body, mind, and soul, and to live your life fully and be capable of manifesting your divine purpose. Give yourself permission to be nourished. This includes your body and also providing your heart, your mind, your soul with what they are hungry for: meaning, sweetness, divine love, and permission to be authentic. When you feed yourself that which truly nourishes you, wisely and generously, you shall become one who can also feed the world that for which it truly hungers. This is not what we were just talking about, though. All right. So explore and experiment with nutritional wisdom, which suits your body at this time. Understand that it may change over time. Remember that caring for the needs of your body is more important and spiritually mature than trying to force your body to meet the expectations of a belief system outside of yourself. Don't starve yourself of what you need on any level of your being, including peace, solitude, love, time spent in spiritual communion, artistic expression, and nutrition. Answers are coming for your questions about all forms of nourishment, including nutrition. So do not give up when you are so close to finding your way. If you have been struggling with your needs being met on some level, a blessing is given to help you into more nourishing and abundant situations in all areas of your life. Okay. So the spiritual guidance on this says, so many human beings around the world suffer from undernourishment on physical, emotional, and psychological levels. Being fed more of what you don't need cannot satisfy hunger. The cells in the soul cry out for what will truly stave off starvation. The quest for the profound, vitalizing, and satisfying experience of genuine spiritual presence is part of this. Pachacamac is known as the father of the world in the Peruvian culture, which preceded the Inca tradition. He is the provider of the gift of agriculture. Part of his mythic story is in creating the first man and woman. He forgot to create food for them also. When the man died, the woman cursed Pacha, accusing him of neglect. In response, the god made her fertile. At a symbolic level, this story tells of the need for sacred rage towards neglect and the creative resourcefulness that we can generate only when we get angry enough to demand healing change. Food is a matter of spiritual importance. Without proper nourishment, which heals the body, illuminates and informs the mind, and fortifies the soul, we undermine a healthy relationship between the spirit, the mind, and the body. If the body is out of balance and the mind filled with fear, then the attempts of the spirit to move your life in the correct direction will be met with resistance, anger, and defiance. Denying the needs of the body out of a misplaced sense of spiritual consciousness is not going to further your spiritual cause on this planet. Your sacred companions for your spirit this lifetime, your body, mind, and soul, cannot fulfill their part of your divine destiny if they are not properly nurtured. This requires unlearning the social pressures to dominate the mind and body, and practicing guidance and responsiveness that has, at its heart, discipline balanced with loving relationship. Step by step, with moderation rather than fantasism, and by experimenting with what suits you rather than what suits another, are ways to work with nourishment wisely. This may include changing our habits of food consumption to ethical, organic, local, and sustainable produce as much as we can. It may be about willingness to redefine convenience to include that which contributes to health rather than which only saves time. It may also include noticing what we consume in the form of entertainment and information, and figuring out if it is really helping or hindering our spiritual growth. True spirituality is joyful and playful. It is not dour, and it's certainly not about no longer having any fun. What you will find as your spirit grows more present in your body and mind is that your sense of what used to be fun may not be so anymore. You may need something that brings more joy into your heart and your world. Finding what works for you can only happen as you begin to listen to the body, to your mind, and your soul. Listening as if your spirit were a caring and wise parent. Studies have shown that cows will naturally gravitate to the healthiest and most nutritionally rich grass. Nature knows how to nourish and heal itself. Our bodies can guide us towards what they need for healing, as can our soul. As we recondition ourselves to listen rather than demand, we tap into the healing guidance of the divine feminine dwelling within us. What you derive pleasure from consuming at a physical, emotional, and psychological level will shift as your relationship to yourself changes. Rather than it being an act of will to be healthy, as you move towards what brings you authentic fulfillment, it will begin to feel like an act of pleasure. Then you will be turning nourishment into a sacred act of honoring the gift of your body, mind, and soul. So that's a good way to round it out. And, really remember that it all starts with you guys. If you're not fulfilling your own needs and listening to your own body and what your soul needs in this life to feel fulfilled, you can't expect anyone else to do it. So that's where I'm going to leave that. So with that being said, Gina, whenever you are ready, we are ready for your question. Oh. And Michelle said she almost emailed me today. Well, Spirit has good timing. I knew you needed it. All right, Maria, I got yours. You'll be after Gina. Must be a big question. I'm going to let her write that out. Give me 1 second. I got to stretch my legs. Oh, can't wait to get it off these things. I need a chair. Didn't she write it yet? Nope. All right. Well, Gina, are you still in here? She was just writing. Thank you, Maria. Yeah, y'all hit that like button. If not, we'll go ahead and move to Maria and just get the ball rolling. Okay, there we go. I have been feeling all out of sort this week. Okay. Why is Gina feeling out of sorts?
What kind of work does she do?
What kind of work do you do, Gina?
What's your career?
I feel like there's something that you have been investing in that hasn't quite come to fruition yet. Especially with the Eight of Cups being on the bottom, this kind of feels like a situation where you're feeling the need to move on from something. Has your mental been active? Like, I don't want to say overactive, because I feel like there's a sense of clarity that's coming in for you about certain judgments that need to be made. I feel like Spirit's talking to you a lot lately about certain things that are unfair or unjust or imbalanced. And it's like all these things are coming through to give you the answers that you're seeking about where you're placing either obligations, commitments, or like pouring yourself into. And with the Eight of Cups, this means like not really being fulfilled or having the reciprocity and the need to look to move forward to gain what you're seeking, right? She didn't answer. Gina, can you tell us what you do for a living? Because he's picking up something around your job. a teacher.
Yeah. I mean, you got school coming to an end, first semester. There's a lot of stuff due at that time. Don't know what grade it is. It's a very hectic time for teachers, and it's a
Sixth
mix.
grade.
Yeah, that's a very transitional grade. It's kind of like eighth grade, but oh, man, yeah. I mean, it's a rough time of year. You know, you got time coming on. You know, you got time to be off coming up. You got the end of the semester, which there's probably a lot of push for things to be completed. You also have probably an extra workload because of things being done through Zoom and possibly kids attending school. So you got a mixed bunch. I don't know what state you live in. I don't know what. I don't know how it's set up where you live, but I know my son has the option to go to school or to do it through Zoom. He does it through Zoom. So, I mean, it could potentially be something with work. And I don't know how long you've been teaching. How long have you been teaching?
She's in Florida too. She's resonating a lot with what you're saying. "17 years.
17 years. Yeah, so I'll tell you real quick, for me, I've been doing construction for close to 27 years. And I just kind of hit a wall recently to where I'm just not getting the enjoyment out of it, because I love what I do. But then in the last week, I kind of got it back. Like, okay, I'm ready to get back. I'm ready to get back into it. Some of it was from some bad dealings with some investors, and majority of it is, it's not the work, it's the clients. Like, they're just very pushy and needy, and you know, I get it, it's your house, but at the same time, when somebody gives you a job, okay, like, you go to work, you have a job, allow you to do your job, and there might be, you know, some things happen in your job to where, especially after 17 years, to where you're very decorated in what you do. You could feel a sense of, you're just kind of losing the interest, but you love the kids, but you know, it's just a mix. I mean, sixth grade's tough because it's not like you're a fourth grade teacher to where the kid moves on to the next grade and they go to fifth grade, and then you kind of still see the child there in the school. So I don't know if you've been a sixth grade teacher the whole time for 17 years, but I just know it's really hard on teachers right now. It's hard on everybody, but especially teachers, because you're still doing your job, but you're doing it in such a different and unique platform that you're not accustomed to. And then you got holidays and you got all this other stuff going on. So it's perfectly understandable to be going through things, especially with your career and what you do. So is there any particular things that are concerning you about your career that you want to share?
Well, she's saying her body's been out of whack and speaking to her. I would definitely suggest tuning into that a little bit more and like giving your body the space to speak to you. What does it need? It was like the collective message. You have to be able to listen to what your body's needing for nourishment, whether that is your mind, body, or soul. It's a package deal, right? But Dewey was saying there's such a push in the wrong direction, and it has seemed to start to reset. She's saying exactly middle school throughout. Her boss dipped recently too. And that might be where some of this, like, this judgment is coming from, because especially with the Seven of Pentacles and the Eight of Cups, like, you're talking about something that you're invested in, you're committed to, yet it seems like there's not only an imbalance, but something feels unfulfilled in it. It might just be a little bit of renavigation because you're trying to do something that you've been doing this 17 years. You have a routine of how you do your work, right? And how you're connecting to these kids. How do you teach them and how are you connecting with them? But now you're having to do it in such a different way. It could be meeting some resistance and putting extra stress on your body that you might not be aware of, and just trying to meet your own standards in a world where there seems to be a lot of limitations and restrictions, right?
Well, that too, and Mother Time is a, it's a mother, like I'm sure you guys you started back in March having to do school online. Is that correct in Florida?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, you're so used to doing things, being active, walking the halls, standing up, teaching the children, being more active, and then you're almost, you're 9 months into not doing what your normal regimen is. So over time, it's going to take a toll. Even if you've kept your diet the same, if you've still been going out and doing extra things, like in your personal life, and all that's probably declined a lot. So you might just be starting to feel that strain on your body and your mind, because everything has changed. So you got a break coming up. If you're single, don't have children, or if you have children, you're married, maybe put in a request for some Gina time, some time for Gina, even if that looks like going down to some water, whether it's a creek, a river, a lake, an ocean, a swamp, just whatever you need to recharge, and request 24 hours, request.
We're not allowed to take a day off, no subs.
You said you're not allowed to take a day off. No, I was saying request. No, what I was saying, take a day for yourself is not during your work day. It's during your off time. So Saturday, Sunday, the holiday coming up where you're going to have a break. And where I was saying request is if you have a family, if you have a husband, if you have children, or, something that you would have to respectfully request some time, say, hey, honey, I'm going through a lot. It's been a rough year. I need a day. I need a day. You shouldn't have to explain yourself too much. It should be, I would think that it'd be granted. But how can you be the best you for everybody else if you're running on empty?
Mm-hmm.
If your brakes aren't, stopping your car, and you know what I mean? You don't have any gas in your tank to push it forward to be able to even stop. So you definitely got to, rejuvenate yourself by putting yourself first.
I'm hearing like recharge your batteries.
Yeah, but you got to put yourself 1st. And I'm not saying like drop everything, like quit your job or just use your sick days or anything.
But make more quality time for yourself on your days off, right? Instead of because listen, I know how it used to be when I was working a full-time job and, doing hair and all that, then trying to, take care of my relationship and the kids and everything else in between. Like, listen, having 2 days off ain't shit. Like, to get everything done in those 2 days, it's terrible.
And put your phone away.
Swamp even sounds good. But it is, yeah. And like, we tend to be so active. Like, one of my biggest things was my mind was always so active that I would watch or scroll through things that dumbed me down so that I could check out. That was my checkout, right? And it's one of those things where it's not necessarily beneficial because it's just a distraction. But if we take the time to really do things that bring us joy, that bring us peace, that bring us comfort, that help us clear, relax, and to reset, it's a lot better than watching trash TV and scrolling through Facebook. So we only spent 1 day this month together. Wow.
Ooh.
Wow. Her and her boyfriend, Christian.
Does he live in Texas?
Does he? Do y'all live close by, Gina? Or y'all at a distance? Hey, David, how are you? No, he's here. So why only 1 day this month? And maybe that's what you need, is just more quality time to spend with your loved one, right? Like, if you're both going so hard in between that you're having a hard time even making time, yeah, when I get home, so tired. And that's the thing, make sure that you're clearing your energy, make sure you're taking the time to truly reset. You might want to find more grounding techniques and more outlets so that you're not holding on to everything and then just going to bed. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you're just piling it on. And, there's healing that's occurring. Okay, so I pulled some guidance from the Earth Warriors Oracle, and you got the Abuela medicine, remedy of the grandmothers. And it says you're on a healing journey. Put your trust in the divine genius of the Great Spirit and the medicine of the earth through which divine healing can express itself. As you allow your spiritual connection to guide your earthly steps with synchronicity and divine intervention, You will be supported for a healing journey that will be profound for you. This oracle indicates a healing outcome that will enhance your soul journey. Your soul has healing gifts, and you are meant to participate fully in the exploration of healing that is of interest to you. You are meant to understand how it is that you are a healer in your own unique way, whether that be professionally or in how you are as a person in the world more generally as part of your life's journey. Um, Yeah. So, and that's what this card is saying. Like there's healing that needs to take place. So that's why I was saying in the very beginning, give yourself the space to let your body talk to you. Um, there is this one woman that I had met that she does this practice, and I can't remember what it's called, but she basically uses intuitive guidance with reflexology and like brings attention to all the places that are harboring tension and allows that tension to speak up, right? And so that might be a good thing for you to do, is like just lay in bed and bring the focus to the parts of you that are hurting, that are tense, that feel stressed, that are tired, that feel overwhelmed, and give it the space to speak. And what does it need from you, right? You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised what your body will tell you, okay? So your final advice is the rainbow jaguar, or the medicine of the. So there's a lot of medicine coming up for you, okay? So this is saying that you need healing. But Ixchel protects you now as you transition from one life phase to the next. And that's probably why you feel exhausted and confused and not feeling yourself, because I'm feeling a lot with the new year coming in. There's a big release that's happening so that we can make room for the new stuff coming in next year. Okay. With her rainbow light, this guardian goddess instructs you on how to use great power with wisdom to nourish only what is worthy. Using jaguar medicine with perfect timing, she confronts that which is unworthy of her devotion, eradicating destructive forces and creating space for healing, relief, and rebirth. Her presence is the wild power of the jaguar, the renewal promise of the rainbow, and the divine feminine creativity. All darkness shall be overcome. You are going through a transition. Cultivate hope and stay true to your intentions. Let nothing divert you from your true path. If you have a new project, vision, or lifestyle that you are seeking to bring into the world, Ixchel is guiding and guarding you for a healthy rebirth. She also brings a message that there are times when fierceness is necessary. It is important that you cut off negative sources completely at this time and do not allow yourself to be used or exploited. This is not the time to indulge someone else's ego or go against your own inner knowing in order to give someone the benefit of the doubt. Trust your instincts and break immediately from what isn't right for you. This will bring you new opportunities and situations that are worthy of your passionate devotion. So, I hope that helps, girl. You feeling it? You're so welcome. I'm glad that we could help you. I know it's a lot, and
Just smile and
yeah,
push forward, man.
that's all you can do, babe.
Be positive.
But we got you. You got this. You know you do. And if you need help, like walking through that process, you know I'm here for you. So, but good luck with everything, man, and happy holidays. Just remember to take care of yourself. You're so welcome. All right, Maria, you are up next. Whenever you are ready. What does Spirit need me to know? I am at a crossroad. Can I not be a Libra even though this is my lesson? All right.
Yeah. You can be whatever you want to be.
It is. That's the beautiful thing about free will and choice.
Go look at the Chinese zodiac.
He's all about the Chinese zodiac. And listen, it's crazy how accurate it is. You know, and whenever I find myself at a crossroads, it's a really good time to just pause, right? And take inspired action, not impulsive action. But, you know, when you're thinking about moving in a different direction, I feel like we already know naturally why we want to move in a different direction because we know it's not in alignment anymore. But then we have so many fears of leaving the comfort zone because it's familiar, right? She says that she is a horse.
She's a horse?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Better than Libra.
Better than
I'm only joking. And just remember, if the horoscopes were always just a beautiful message,
yeah.
then when you had a bad day, wouldn't that deter you away from the horoscopes?
You are at a crossroads with the Two of Staffs because there's a decision, and you know this, we've been talking about this. There's a decision that needs to be made. And in order, okay, with the Three of Staffs being here, okay, you have the 2 and then the 3. A decision will have to be made, but that's up to you. But they're asking you to take a leap of faith in a new direction, okay? Now, if this has to do with your relationship, listen, you have 2 knights here, okay? Knights. They're not pages, so we're not talking about bottom of the barrel, but we're also talking about someone who has not fully matured in their emotional availability, their dedication, their passion, their drive, right? This could be someone who is very impulsive when it comes to having their needs met. It could also talk about someone who is, you know, with the Knight of Wands, this is someone who feels like is always on the move, like always thinking, always doing, and just doesn't know how to be present is kind of what it feels like, right? Now, with the Knight of Pentacles being here, this is someone who really likes to take their time. They really will drag their feet in certain circumstances. So it seems like when it comes to what they want, is they're on it. But when it comes to what they know they need to do or what would be mutually beneficial for the relationship, they'll probably drag their feet. Now, there's certain, I feel like there's a level of immaturity here that is just not benefiting. And I feel like a part of you feels like I've already invested so much time, or, you know, maybe you'll get better with time, but they're asking you to, if you are going to commit to yourself and bringing in the love that you deserve, then be careful of what you commit to, right? Because if you keep committing to energy, then how are you going to accept your King of Cups? Because it's like, don't let your boyfriend keep you from your husband, right? Someone who is going to keep it on like a childish player level, but yet you're looking for a king. You want to be treated like a queen, but they're treating you like a servant, like a, you know, someone who's just benefiting their life and what they want. I feel like I'm having a hard time communicating what I'm really trying to say here. I feel like there is someone, especially with the King of Cups here, it feels like a separate energy than the two knights. Okay. So there is someone here that is emotionally stable, and I feel like it's someone within your environment, because the way that it's the two knight energies are contradicting each other. Okay. But this King of Cups energy is watching all of this go down. And this is why you feel like you're at a crossroads, because you feel like there might be a better option for you with the Two of Cups and the Eight of Cups, but you're scared of leaving it. You're scared of it. It should. It should. It should be natural. It should be fulfilling. And, you know, like, I'll say even Kevin has admitted to me a couple times, like, especially in the beginning of, because y'all know me, I'm intense with my love. But it was like, this is so good. And, you know, sometimes it can be that, is it too good to be true? Right. And that's where being open to the experience and letting it prove itself over time with consistency really, you know, it pays off. But when he realized that my affection for him was real and natural, it hit him like a ton of bricks. He was like, do I deserve this? And I remember the moment where, because in the beginning, I was more reserved, like, stay grounded, Jess, don't jump in too quickly, like, just enjoy the present, see how it unfolds. And the moment that it hit me, like, this is so fucking special. If I lose this, or if I do any, like, if I take this for granted, I'm sabotaging myself. And it was like just a wave of emotion and gratitude fell over me. And it was like, you just show up as the best version of yourself. If he loves you as you are right now, it's only going to get better. Right. And, you know, but again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, Maria. If it is not a vibrational match, if you are not fulfilled, right? Like, it's one of those things, and you have to ask yourself, do you feel truly loved, nurtured, encouraged, supported, uplifted by your relationship? Do you feel like this is it? Because if it was, you wouldn't be asking these questions. You wouldn't be having so much controversy of whether to move on or not. And it's one of those things, are you doing more harm than good by staying in a relationship that neither one is truly fulfilled? Right? Like, think of how much both of you can learn and grow if you had a partner that was a better fit. it doesn't mean that one's worse or better than the other. It's just saying, like, I understand and I respect you enough. Thank you for what you have been and done for my life. But I also understand that this is not truly fulfilling for either of us anymore. And if it's time to move on, and you'll know, because, but that's the thing too. Like, some people will sit here and contemplate for so long. I mean, back in the day, I had the hardest time letting go of situations I knew weren't healthy for me anymore. And I would come up with so many reasons to stay. And whether that be, I didn't want to feel like I was giving up on them. I didn't want to feel like I was letting them down or in any way. I didn't want to disappoint anybody. And all these things started, dwelling on me, but I was sacrificing my own happiness because I didn't want to let them down, right? But in reality, I was letting myself down, and they weren't doing what was necessary to show up for me. Even when I was asking, even when I was like being vulnerable with my emotions and saying, like, I don't know why there's so much disconnect between us, but I'm not happy. And gaslighting occurred. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't have the emotional availability or the emotional stability from my old partners that allowed us to grow together, right? And if you consistently are sacrificing yourself for the comfort, not the happiness, for the comfort of others, are you really doing what's best for them? Right? And that's the question you have to ask yourself, because now it's seeming more of convenience and kind of avoiding confrontation, because you don't want to have to make the decision that is going to disrupt the flow of his life, right? I feel like if you took him out of the picture, like, the history that y'all have together, you probably wouldn't have like that hard of a time moving on with your life. But you're worried about how he's going to transition. Okay. So it's, you can't control how someone else is going to handle that news. But regardless, you have to be honest with yourself. And if it's not fulfilling and not beneficial, and it's not encouraging and supportive and all the things that you could have with the right partner, with the real partner, it's like sabotaging both of you at the same time without even realizing it. And it is. It is. And I feel like we have so much guilt over letting go of, relationships that either have served their purpose or, just isn't a right fit. And we feel like we owe it to stay in a relationship that has no depth. It's just, it's mind-boggling how we torture ourselves to go through these processes, and we end up berating ourselves for making a necessary decision. And yes, the other person might be hurt by it, but later on, because listen, even my ex-husband, I mean, he went through all the phases, okay? He went through the confused, to the angry, to the belittling, to you're my everything, back to angry, then to sad, and then, the manipulation tactics, all that, only to have someone else moved in within 6 months. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't really that he was, he didn't go through a process. He went right on to replacing when he realized that he couldn't control me anymore, that he wasn't getting anything else out of it. So I understand that when you quit feeding it and you just own your decision, because it's a decision you're going to have to own, right? And you can't help how someone else is going to respond to that. But if you know in your heart that this isn't really the most beneficial relationship and it's not very satisfying, but it's comfortable, it's familiar, and it has its times, but it's not really feeding your soul, then you really have to ask yourself, what are you doing there? Right? So good. And see, and that's the thing. Like once you get past that initial, pain and the shock of it all, some people can. And it's beautiful when you can come back and say like, okay, now I understand, because especially with your situation, and I'm assuming that your ex is Alana's dad, right? If that is, yeah. And if you're asking yourself all the time, what am I doing here? Then that is a clear sign that's not where you belong, honey. So if you're talking, yeah, okay. So you're talking about Alana's dad. And that's a beautiful thing. Like what I learned from my parents, like it took my parents a long time to become friends and to have that respect for each other, because there's a lot of childish bullshit in between after their divorce. But with that being said, my mom had to make a decision that she knew was what was best for herself and for her children. And that was to have a healthy, supportive household, whether that included a man or not. And she was always very keen on who she brought around us, who she allowed into her life. And she didn't take no bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because she had already learned from the childish behaviors of my father back in his drinking days that that's not something that would support her and her family's happiness. So, it was one of those things that took some time to come to realize that they actually made a better team for us children once they could get past their own pain and their own ego and realize that it wasn't a personal attack by leaving the relationship, but it was actually setting them free to live a more fulfilling and authentic life. And some are still learning their lessons, but for the most part, if my mother would have stayed in that relationship, I can only imagine where she would be today. And I can tell you she wouldn't be the same person that she is. So, just do what's best. Listen to your heart, baby. Okay. And trust that if you are feeling the urge that there is something more fulfilling, right? You have to fulfill that love and trust in that love within you so that you can open that space to receive it back. And that's by owning your own decisions and loving yourself enough to say, I refuse to settle. Okay? So I hope that helps you. Right. And see, that's how I am. You know, you can only give so much advice. And I can tell you, for people like us that have a hard time letting go of relationships, that was one thing with my marriage that, like, listen, I will fight tooth and nail for people that I love, but when I'm done, I'm done, and there's no going back. And that's why I'm saying, you will know. You will know when you can't take anymore, when it's just too much and there's just no love left and you just can't take another day of it. And you're just, I'm good with this decision. It might hurt, but I know what I got to do. Right. And when that day comes, you'll know. And that's when you know that the relationship has fully served its purpose. Okay. But there might still be things that you need to learn. So, yeah, it is coming. There's a lot of change coming. So, take care of yourself and listen. Listen. Okay. What is one, I'm going to pull Romance Angels. What is one thing that Maria needs to focus on when it comes to loving herself and attracting the reciprocation in love? What is one thing that she needs to address? Of course, they're not. Okay. So, I would honestly, like, we have the wedding card coming up. Unrequited love, codependency is popping out. It's safe for you to love, and religious factors. So, you know, you might want to look around, like, your belief systems around marriage and commitment in general. Where do your beliefs around what a healthy relationship looks like? Where does that stem from? Right? And are there certain aspects within your current relationship that are mimicking relationships that you've witnessed in your past, probably from your parents or from your family, right? And other key people in your life. But it might also have certain, you know, things that have caused you not to fully trust in love, or the fairy tale love, or whatever, you know, those kind of things. And challenge your belief systems, and especially when it comes to people who seem to play into the push and pull game, right? So, you know, those might be some things that you want to look at moving forward. I think once you break down those belief systems and take a good look at them, then you'll be able to figure out what is being mimicked back to you through this reading. Okay. So, all right. So that's the end for the VIP. Yeah, we only have a few minutes left. So, Carrie, do you have any specific questions? Okay. Yeah. So really get into those belief systems and, you know, challenge them. Challenge them. Um, because are they really, is it a healthy belief system? Or is it based off of, you know, some old thing that a family member once told you and you witnessed, you know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now that the universe has provided for you, what are you going to do with it, Maria? So, yeah. And start by making small steps. It doesn't mean that you have to go, you know, making any big decisions or whatnot, but I'm sorry, y'all. My hips can't handle it. But you know, right. But it's one of those things where when you get to, oh, thank you, Carrie. But it's one of those things that when we ask for something and the universe provides for it, but then we have no idea what to really do with it. And those belief systems, the outdated belief systems, are the ones that are going to challenge you most when it comes to opening yourself up to these new opportunities, right? Yeah. You do, and it is, because you can sit here and analyze all the time, but listen, the mind and the ego can play tricks on you. So what you really need to do is move more into your heart space and say, what does my heart desire? Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, all right. So, Carrie, what is going on? What is going on with the guy? With the guy. All right. What does Carrie need to know about the guy? What does Carrie need to know about the guy? You're so welcome, Maria. Okay. What is going on? No, they want to keep that one. What is going on with him? You want to know on a soul level. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Carrie is going to be the last one for tonight. I'm not going to be doing any free one card pulls because we're almost at our 2-hour limit and I'm exhausted, guys. So thank you for being patient, though. All right, what is going on the soul level for Carrie and the guy she is connected with? What is going on? The soul level. Okay. So, we have playfulness, release your ex, and new love. So I feel like he's kind of in this state of like just wanting to have a good time, keep things light, playful, um, like a very youthful energy. That's Kevin. He's passed out. He's had a long day, guys. We've been up since 5:30. But I feel like it's one of those things where, you know, he's just looking, because I feel like he's been through a lot and had like a lot of serious commitments in life, whether that be through work and relationships and that kind of thing. Oh, thank you, Kara. um, but it's just one of those, like, he's just trying to have fun with life right now. And so another part of it is where he's trying to release his past, by releasing his ex, okay, and clearing any energy from past relationships that might affect new love. With the new love being here, I do feel that this has definitely sparked an interest in making sure all, like, loose ends are tied up. And it's definitely stirring a lot of new emotions for him. Okay. But, like, one of the things that he wants to say to you is, like, okay, so codependency is at play. Focus on building your confidence instead of looking for validation outside of yourself.
Right.
And that there's a surprise coming for you. So I feel like there's something unexpected that he may either be planning, or it might even just be like some news, like vulnerability opening up for you, that is going to kind of take you off guard. You're not going to be expecting it. So, and that's one thing too. It's always good to have someone who can surprise you, right? But yeah, let's enjoy this time together and go with the flow. And that's really what's on his mind with the playfulness card. Okay. So don't look to him for validation. Just keep with the flow. Let it unfold. But he's definitely, yeah, I mean, you're definitely striking up some new emotions for him, and it's making him realize that there are still things that need to be cleaned up and let go of, and forgiven and all of that, so that he can have this, new opportunities, right? So, yeah, I hope that helps you. Yes, variety is the spice of life. All right, guys. So that is all I have for today. I'm exhausted. I'm going to go and chill. But I love you all so much. I do thank Spirit and all of our divine beings that have assisted us today in giving these messages. I thank all of you for showing up, not only for yourself, but for me and this channel. Thank you for all those who have donated and liked this video. I ask that anyone I've connected with tonight, that all energy be sent back to its rightful owner, and I command all of my energy back now. I just love and appreciate, and I send so much gratitude to all of you for being who you are and being such a great support system for me in my journey. So I love you all. I will see y'all soon. And until next time, peace and love.